I'm Ramsey, and in these series of videos I'm going to talk about the great swords. So let's get to it. Great swords are the next step up from daggers and straight swords, but having the cost of speed, using much of the wielder's own weight in order to inflict the best damage possible. Also using very wide swings to clear out such a big area, making them great for multiple enemies. Some have manifested fire or even dark to their damage, but let's not forget about the true badass of pure physical. In these series of videos, we'll be taking a look at how each greatsword performs in a duel and gank situation. Obviously none of them are going to shine in a gank heavy world, but just to see which one's the best. Just in case anyone is curious, I'm going to be using my quality build for most of these great swords other than the Onyx Blade. That beast should only be used for pyro builds. Starting off with the Bastard Sword, a widely used greatsword normally wielded with two hands. Broad horizontal sweeping attacks make the sword effective against multiple enemies, but unwieldy in narrow spaces. Skill, Stomp. This weapon can be buffed and infused, although as one of the shortest in the greatsword class, it can still pack quite a lot of damage if used effectively. It can be obtained through the very first part of Grey Rat's questline. He sells it when arriving at a Firelink Shrine for the very first time. The Bastard Sword weighs 8 units and fully upgraded has a C in Strength and a D in Dex, making this more of a strength weapon. I have an AR of 493 with my 40/40 quality build, which is okay damage. Infuse this weapon accordingly to your build, but I'd recommend using a heavy gem because of the natural strength scaling being higher and also jumping to a B in scaling. Depending on the type of player your opponent is and your familiarity with the weapon, it's going to play a heavy role on your playstyle. Its vertical two-handed attacks are best for 1v1s due to the hyper armor, duh. The weapon art is a simple stomp uppercut, but if you play it right, it can be super effective. You aren't usually going to land something this slow, but if you do, it's going to do a good chunk of damage and it has buttloads of hyper armor. It can be hard to land something this slow, but I mean, especially on someone that's using straight sword, curved sword, or spear. But that's when you gotta take advantage of its hyper armor. The two-handed R1's the best, but you gotta be careful of your spacing and your timing. Another thing to note, the weapon art does not give you any sort of increase in your defense, so no matter what, as soon as you start that stomp animation, you're gonna be taking full damage to when you end it. But God does have a huge amount of hyper armor, which could be your downfall. Just about all of these great swords do have a similar kind of moveset, which kind of sucks, except for the strong attacks and the weapon arts. Now, I myself have a very reactive and predictive kind of heavy playstyle, and what I mean by that is I react to what's presented to me, and I predict what's going to happen next, which influences most of my moves. Now, in any kind of gank, you're going to have to focus on more than one opponent, and that makes it extremely hard, even if it is pure melee fights. It's multiplied by a whale's ass when it's spell hell. You got spells flying left, flying right, and you can't have a clear game plan because they're all rolling half the time. One failed parry attempt or badly timed attack, and you can end faster than you could say, fuck me. The worst thing is fighting a gank that is more spell oriented. Now, if you know how to parry, you always want to carry that Hornet Ring and a Pine Resin for that extra try-hard damage. That can end a gank just as fast as starting one. Another key in ganks is stamina management, everyone's favorite term. Well, mine anyways. That last attack you throw out could be the end of your stamina, and those invaders are coming for that ass with every single heavy attack. The guys I was dueling weren't really too aggressive, which they were a spell heavy gank, so I do give them some respect for that, but that's also where you can make a huge mistake. If I haven't mentioned it before, but great swords aren't the best for chasing down any kind of opponent, especially the bastard sword. It's just too slow and too short for that kind of shit. But in conclusion, the bastard sword isn't the worst, but it's not the best either. What are you guys doing? You being bitches? The fuck? You gonna fucking turn and burn? I hope you guys enjoyed this little clip. I will be doing this for every single great sword in the game, from Bastard Sword for this one to the Onyx Blade. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave me a like or a comment letting me know. I'm definitely going to do this for probably most of the weapons, actually. It's pretty fun to do. But I'm Ramsey, and have a good one.